The last performance, the old Grand Opera House, stood abandoned for 30 years, a crumbling monument to a forgotten era of glamour and tragedy. Its grand stage, once alive with soaring voices and dramatic narratives, was now a dusty, silent expanse. Locals avoided it, whispering tales of the prima donna Cassandra, who had vanished mid-performance during the final act of The Phantom of the Opera. 1993, leaving behind only her echoing final note and a single crimson rose on the stage. Ethan, a documentary filmmaker obsessed with urban legends, saw the Opera House as his magnum opus. He secured permits, ignored the warnings, and, with his small crew, began filming inside the decaying theater. The air was heavy with dust and the lingering scent of old velvet and unspoken sorrow. On their second day, while setting up lights on the stage, the sound engineer, Mark, swore he heard a faint, ethereal hum. "Did you hear that?" he asked, his voice hushed. Ethan and the others heard nothing but the creaks of the old building. But as the days turned into night, the phenomena grew more distinct. Footsteps echoed in the empty dress circle when no one was there. A cold draft would sweep through the stage. Even with all doors and windows sealed, lights would flicker, and sometimes, from the Bustark auditorium, they would hear a soft, almost imperceptible sigh. Ethan, ever the skeptic, attributed it to old wiring and an overactive imagination fueled by the Opera House's macabre history. He even found a sense of dramatic irony in it. The ghost of the Opera House was playing along with their film. One night, alone on the stage, reviewing footage, Ethan felt a sudden, profound shift in the atmosphere. The air grew heavy, thick with anticipation, like before a grand overture. A chillingly sweet, floral scent, like 100 wilting roses, filled the space. Then, from the very depths of the darkened auditorium, a single, crystal-clear note began to swell. It was a woman's voice, pure and sorrowful, rising through the silence. It was Cassandra, to note, held impossibly long, impossibly beautiful. Filling every corner of the vast theater, Ethan felt tears sting his eyes. Not from fear, but from the overwhelming beauty and profound sadness carried in that single, perfect sound. The note ended, not abruptly, but fading into an unbearable silence. Then, from the wings, a single, crimson rose appeared on the dusty stage, seemingly conjured from thin air. Ethan, transfixed, slowly approached the rose. As he reached for it, a voice, clearer and closer than before, whispered directly into his ear. "Bravo, ... double quotes." The word was a chilling caress, full of both appreciation and an ancient longing. He flinched, pulling back his hand. He looked around wildly, but saw nothing. Yet he felt a presence, strong and undeniable, right there beside him. Over the next few days, Cassandra's presence became almost corporeal. Her voice would hum melodies in the empty dressing rooms. Her footsteps would pace across the stage. She wasn't malevolent. She was a lonely artist, eternally bound to her last stage, desperate for an audience. Ethan, no longer a skeptic, realized she was waiting for her last performance to be completed. He began to feel a strange sympathy for her, a desire to give her peace, he decided. They would stage Cassandra's final act, not with actors, but with the haunting beauty of her own recorded voice, amplified through the Opera House's ancient sound system. He and Mark worked tirelessly, painstakingly reconstructing the final scene using old scripts and a grainy recording of her earlier performances. On the designated night, the crew gathered, a solemn audience in the empty seats. Ethan stood by the soundboard, his hand trembling as he started the recording. The familiar overture swelled, then Cassandra's powerful, tragic voice filled the theater, singing the aria of her final scene. As her voice reached its crescendo, the stage lights, which had been meticulously repaired, flickered and then blazed to life. A single spotlight illuminated the center of the stage. The crimson rose, still lying there, seemed to pulse with an inner light. Then, for a fleeting moment, a shimmering, translucent figure appeared in the spotlight. A woman in a flowing gown, her arms outstretched, her face a mask of profound emotion. Cassandra, she sang her final, soaring note, a heartbreakingly beautiful sound that seemed to transcend time itself. As the last note faded, Cassandra's ethereal form shimmered, then dissolved into countless sparkling motes of light that drifted upwards into the darkened rafters and then vanished. The spotlight dimmed, the stage lights went out, and the opera house was plunged into a silence more profound than before. A silence of true peace. The next morning, the crimson rose on the stage was gone. The opera house, though still old and crumbling, felt different. Lighter. The oppressive sorrow had lifted. Ethan knew Cassandra had finally taken her final bow. Her last performance was complete.